welcome back. I'm not sure if I'm even going to post or publish this video, but maybe it's just a way for me to think through things. Particularly in my Odin as a god of death video, that's actually my most popular video to date, close to 700 views. Very nice. I kind of hope it was some other videos, particularly the one about Odin as a god of knowledge, but that hasn't really caught on. So maybe it's too long. But anyway, in a lot of the comments, well, some of the comments, I should say, I think the viewers assume that I'm a pagan or I'm a heathen, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, because obviously I'm making videos about Norse mythology and how I describe it, and I often wear, well, pretty much always wear Norse-related t-shirts, which I made myself, by the way. So am I a pagan? Am I a heathen? The answer is yes, but it's not so simple. So I want to kind of just go through a little, maybe background. So I'm from Canada. I grew up in the late 70s, early 1980s. Canada, of course, is a Christian country, although it was even on the decline back then, where religiosity it's declining. Like, I think nowadays Canada's extremely secular. I don't know the percentage of like active practicing Christians in Canada, but it's going to be pretty low, way below the United States, for example. Probably less than 50% would be my guess. So even though I was born into that culture, my mother wasn't particularly religious, and she didn't raise me or my brothers in any religious background. And we went to just like normal public schools, and we didn't have any religious background, particularly other than what we would have gotten just through the culture itself, right? So I grew up secular for the most part, and it wasn't until I was around 19 or 20 years old, when I was in university, where I had a let's call it a spiritual experience, something that even today I have not fully understood what it was. The kind of thing you wouldn't believe me if I told you, basically, that kind of stuff. I wasn't drunk, I wasn't on drugs, I wasn't sleeping. It was a life-changing experience in the middle of the afternoon one day when I was walking home from university. And after the experience was over, and it lasted for a whole day, or it kind of disappeared in the next morning when I woke up. It shocked the hell out of me. I didn't know what was going on. I was extremely confused, and I started to try to understand what it was and what happened, right? And obviously I look towards religion, right? Because that, obviously, if you have a spiritual experience, then that's the direction that you're going to look in. Like, it just made sense. So that's what I would look into. Even though I didn't have any religious, personal background, and I was pretty ignorant, actually, of religion at the time. But that's where my focus went. And I actually, I went into philosophy and religion, and those are my degrees. So I actually changed my university focus because of that experience, because I wanted to understand what happened to me. And I also wanted to get it back again. Like, it was such a profound experience, I wanted to feel it again, which I never did, by the way. So I started looking into religion, and I reading different things and trying to find out what kind of what religious experience would matched, or what religion would be able to help me understand the experience that I had and potentially kind of capture it again. And I eventually settled on Catholicism. And so I became a Catholic. And at the age of maybe 21, I purposefully joined the Catholic Church. I went, what's it called? Whatever procedure they have to initiate adults into the Catholic Church. I went through that process. And I was very much involved with the Catholic Church through my university years. I was even thinking about becoming a priest, which was really a bad idea. And in some interviews with some Jesuit priests, they actually told me pretty directly after they talked to me for a while, they said, you're not suited for this. This is not a good idea for you. This is not your pathway, right? And they were completely correct about that. So I was a practicing Catholic in my early 20s, and that continued until I came to Thailand. I came here in 2004, so 20 years ago. Yeah, 20 years ago. And I think it's because I was removed from the culture, right? I was removed from a Christian culture. I was removed from my university Catholic friends and church and all of that. And I was put into living in Thailand, which of course is a Buddhist country. And I was just removed from the environment. So I think my, let's call it faith, kind of eroded and declined over the coming years. I learned some stuff about Buddhism, but I'm not a Buddhist and I never will be. It's a foreign religion to me. It doesn't match at all with me, right? With my background and my culture. It's an Asian religion. It's my wife is Buddhist. I've got nothing but respect for Buddhism, but it doesn't match with me at all, and I wouldn't be able to adopt it, right? So, but my Christian and Catholic religiosity declined significantly over the next couple of years until somewhere in the early 2010s, so maybe 2010, 2011, I just kind of had a thought like, I don't believe in this anymore. I'm an atheist, right? And that's when I got into, let's call it the angry atheist years, where I was learning a lot about religion, learning a lot about atheism, and I was pretty angry. Angry at religion, angry at God in particular, which is a bit of a contradiction, because if you don't believe God is real, it's kind of weird to be angry at God. But anyway. And that lasted for a couple of years, and eventually I just kind of settled in on just an ignorant agnosticism, where I wasn't angry anymore about religion or about Christianity, but I didn't know. I mean, maybe this is real, and maybe that's real. Maybe Islam is real, and the rest of them are wrong. Maybe Christianity is right, and the rest of them are wrong. Maybe Buddhism is right, and the rest of them are wrong. Maybe they're all right in some way that contradicts us and we don't understand. I just didn't know, and I kind of didn't care. Didn't know and didn't care. I didn't feel that just because you drop out of one religion that you need to kind of jump into another one, right? That didn't really seem appropriate or even necessary. So in from the 2015 onwards, just an agnostic. Didn't really care about religion. Didn't really think about it. Focused on other things. But that's going to get us to where I am now. So I would say in the late 2010. I mean, I've always been interested in Norse mythology for my whole life, but with of course with the internet and with YouTube in particular, it just became really easy to start kind of devouring information online, as well as going off to the bookstore and buying books, the Poetic Edda and etc. To start learning, right? So something kind of caught me about Norse mythology, and I just became voracious about learning more and more and more about it. And this was in maybe starting in the 2016, 2017, 2018. And yeah, I couldn't tell you how many thousands of hours or even more of just watching videos and just learning and learning and learning, right? And somewhere along the way, I felt a connection. I felt that this was right. Like these Norse gods, this Norse religion, this Norse mythology, it matched. It made sense to me. And can't really explain these types of things, but I just knew in my soul that, yeah, this is right. This is who I am. Now I'm Canadian. Never even been to Scandinavia. I would love to go, but I've never been there. But a part of me has the fantasy in my mind that because, I'm Canadian, my ancestors were British, because pretty normal, right? People from Canada, they originally came from England, of course, and France, of course. But my ancestors were British back in, several hundred years ago. And through learning a lot about British history, the Vikings colonized. They colonized England and Ireland and Wales. And my home particularly, there's lots of Irish. My home in Newfoundland is very much Irish descendant. So there's, I can't trace my lineage back 1,000 years, but there's at least a possibility that, so from Canada back to England or Ireland, back again into like 1,000 years ago, Norse, potentially, right? So there's a hope in my mind that my ancestors potentially were Norse. It doesn't really matter if they were or weren't, and I'll never find out. I don't think I could find out, but it doesn't matter, right? But I just have that feeling because it feels right to me. And if they were my ancestors, then following the Norse gods seems appropriate to me. And it does. But I never looked into like New Age paganism, heathenry, the Vana through and the Ostatru. I can't even pronounce them. I never really looked into them. I feel that it's just an individual, personal thing, your faith, and I don't need to identify with this group or that group that believes these things or that things. None of that is necessary for me at all. I personally look to the All-Father as my God, right? And that's why I made that video about Odin as the god of knowledge, because that's how I identify Odin. And that was his thing, that was his obsession. And that's my obsession as well, and has been forever. I've been a teacher for more than 20 years. I've been a voracious reader and learner for my entire life. I always have, and I always will. And I see that as my focus in life. Like I'm making these YouTube videos. What have I made, like 60 or something so far? I'm not getting any money from this, none at all. But I'm spending the time to do it because I have some knowledge and I want to tell. I want to impart it upon other people. I just feel that that's what I should be doing as a person who learns and as a teacher, right? And that focus of learning and imparting knowledge and imparting wisdom, that's Odin for me, right? So I don't know. That's how I bloat, right? That's how I sacrifice, right? Odin lost his eye. I'm not too keen on losing my eyes, but I have no problem at all with sacrificing my time and sacrificing my energy for knowledge and for learning. No problem at all. Again, I said I've watched thousands of hours of videos on YouTube over the years. It's one of my favorite things to do. right? No problem with that at all. No problem with that at all. Odin sacrifice is just, I mean, it's in everything. It's in every religion, human sacrifice, animal sacrifice. And I mean, it's evolved, of course, over time, but it's always what everybody does, right? We're always sacrificing. We sacrifice for our families. We sacrifice our lives sometimes, right? We sacrifice our time. We sacrifice our money. This is just the human experience, is to sacrifice, right? So Odin as an example of sacrificing for knowledge, it just melds with me. It just matches with who I am and what I want, right? So Odin as a god of knowledge is just my god, right? It's like, yes, and I follow his example as best I can, right? So that's how I worship, through learning, through knowledge, and through disseminating what I learn, right? So as the shirt says, you know, he is Odin's man, I am Odin's man, right? So, again, I'm not even sure I'm going to publish this video, but it was nice to make it, just to kind of clear through some thoughts in my mind. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in another video.